let me tell you about something super cool that's happening right now. You know how cars have had wheels for like forever? Well, some really smart people in China are working on something that sounds like it came straight out of a sci-fi movie. They're making cars that can float above the ground using magnets. It's like magic, but it's real science. The magnetic car that floats like magic. So here's the story. For more than 5,000 years, that's way longer than your great-great-great-grandparents have been around, people have been using wheels to get around. But now, these brilliant scientists in China are totally changing the game. They're using special magnetic technology to make cars lift up off the ground and glide along roads without even touching them. Think about it like this. When a car doesn't have to fight against a bumpy road, it can go super fast and use way less energy. It's kind of like how ice skaters glide so smoothly on ice compared to walking on rough pavement. These floating cars can zoom really fast because they get a magnetic push. And here's the best part. They don't create any pollution at all. The whole idea came from those super fast magnetic trains that can go over 600 kilometers per hour. That's faster than most airplanes when they're taking off. But here's where it gets really clever. Unlike those special magnetic train tracks that cost tons of money to build, these hovering cars can float on simple aluminum lanes. Aluminum is that shiny metal you see in soda cans and kitchen foil. This makes it way easier and cheaper to add this technology to the roads we already have. Now get this, way back in 2012, they already made early test cars that weighed 2.8 tons. That's like having 3 regular cars stacked on top of each other. And these heavy machines still managed to go 143 miles per hour while floating. The floating happened because they put huge, heavy magnetic systems underneath the car body. But there was a problem. All those magnets made the cars super expensive and really hard to drive on normal roads where there's no aluminum. So the scientists had this amazing idea. Instead of putting giant magnets under the whole car, what if they just put ring-shaped magnets in the wheels? Brilliant, right? But you might be wondering, how does that even work? Well, let me explain the cool science behind it. When these special magnetic wheels start spinning really fast, something magical happens. The spinning magnets create what's called a repelling magnetic field in anything nearby that conducts electricity. Like that aluminum sheet on the road. It's like when you try to push 2 magnets together the wrong way and they push apart. This pushing force is what makes the car float up in the air and also helps it speed up and move forward. This could be the next huge change in how people get around, just like when we went from riding horses to driving cars with engines. The floating electric car might be the next big revolution that changes everything about how we travel from place to place. The Aleph flying car that looks like a UFO. But wait, there's more exciting stuff happening. Over in California, there's a company called Aleph Aeronautics, and they're not just making cars that hover, they're making cars that can actually fly through the sky. At first glance, their car might look kind of normal, even though it has a pretty unusual design. But all the cool flying technology is hidden under a special mesh body made from carbon fiber, which is super strong but really light. Here's where it gets really wild. This flying car has 4 electric motors, 1 on each wheel, plus 8 spinning propellers. Each propeller has its own smart computer system controlling it. But the most genius part is how they use the actual body of the car as wings. After the car takes off from the ground, the whole body rotates 90 degrees. It's like the car is doing a sideways flip in the air to change from flying straight up to flying forward. And get this, while the car body is flipping around, the cabin where you sit also tilts 90 degrees, but in the opposite direction. This means that no matter what crazy moves the car is doing in the air, you always stay sitting normally, parallel to the ground. It's like being in a fancy spinning chair that always keeps you right side up. The unique design of this flying car lets it lift straight up into the air and then zoom forward through the sky. You could use this for so many cool things. Imagine you're stuck in a terrible traffic jam. You could just fly right over all those cars. Or maybe there's a big tree fallen across the road, or construction blocking your way. No problem, just hop over the obstacle and keep going. The really awesome news is that this company already got permission from the US Federal Aviation Administration to do test flights in certain areas. That's like getting a permission slip from the government to try out your flying car. The car is about the same size as a regular SUV, so it can fit in your garage or any normal parking space. The first version, which they call Model A, can carry 2 people. It can drive 200 miles on regular roads and fly 110 miles through the air on one charge. For people who want to be the first to own one, it's going to cost $3,000. That's expensive because each car will be built by hand at their factory in California. But the next version, called Model Z, should cost way less money. They're planning to start making these cars by the end of 2025, and here's something crazy. They already have more than $750 million worth of orders from people who want to buy them. That's $750 million. And you can still place an order if you want one. Xpeng. Aero AT's flying car from China. Now, China didn't want America to be the only country with flying cars, so they decided to make their own. There's this electric car company called Xpeng that has a special division called Aero AT, and they built a flying car called the X3. This car has multiple rotors. That means spinning propellers, arranged in 4 groups with 8 total propellers. The cool thing is that these propellers can fold up and hide when you're driving the car on normal roads like a regular car. The X3 is actually the 6th version they've made. They kept improving it over and over again. They already showed off a working model to the public, and it successfully did everything they asked it to do. The car landed safely after flying, and the company even did special tests where they made one of the motors stop working on purpose. The flying car passed these safety tests perfectly, which means it can still fly safely even if something goes wrong with one of the propellers. They're using similar technology in their 5th generation flying car called the X2. This X2 was the first flying car operated by a real person, not just controlled by computers, to get special permission to fly in China. This permission lets Xpeng do lots of test flights with real people inside, so they can learn more and collect important information to help them build an even better X3. But here's a big difference between the X2 and X3. The X2 flies completely by itself using computers and artificial intelligence. But with the X3, you get to control it yourself. You use a special gear lever with your right hand to make the car go forward, backward, up, down, and turn left or right. Xpeng promises that drivers can learn to use this gear lever in less than 1 day. So you don't need to go to flying school or get a pilot's license to enjoy flying your own car. One challenge with the X3 is that it can only carry 2 people because it weighs about 2 tons. Flying takes way more power than driving on roads, so right now, the test version can only fly a few dozen miles on one battery charge. But their main goal is to make it fly several hundred miles without stopping to recharge. The key to making this happen is developing better batteries that can store more energy without being too heavy. The batteries in today's electric cars are still pretty heavy, and when you put heavy batteries in a flying car, you need lots of extra energy just to lift the battery itself up into the air. This makes the flying distance much shorter. Elon Musk, the guy who makes Tesla cars and SpaceX rockets, said in an interview that batteries need to store more than 400 watt-hours of energy per kilogram of weight for electric flying to really work well. And here comes some truly amazing news. The world's biggest battery company, called CATL, has developed something called a condensed battery that can store up to 500 watt-hours per kilogram. This is almost twice as light as current electric car batteries while storing the same amount of energy. The company also mentions that when the X3 has its wings folded up, it's not much bigger than a regular car. But when it's in flying mode with wings spread out, it takes up a lot more space. So you'd need to think about where to park it and how to avoid creating traffic jams in the sky. Anyway, Xpeng is closer than ever to making a real flying car that doesn't pollute the air, and there's a good chance they'll show off the final version sometime next year. The hovering Tesla Roadster. The release of Tesla's next-generation Roadster has been pushed back several times, but the exciting news about its technology still makes it the most anticipated electric supercar ever. Tesla is literally pushing the limits of what's possible with car engineering, which sometimes creates headaches for the company. Just look at how hard it was for them to manufacture the Cybertruck's ultra-hard stainless steel body. Even though Tesla sometimes misses their announced deadlines, they keep taking steady steps to accomplish the goals they set for themselves. When the new Roadster finally arrives, it will reportedly have the ability to hover 1 meter above the ground. This amazing feature comes from an optional SpaceX package that includes cold air rocket thrusters placed around the vehicle. Besides this special hovering package, when combined with Tesla's incredibly powerful Plaid powertrain, the car can rocket from 0 to 60 miles per hour in an unbelievable 1.1 seconds. These are definitely some things worth waiting for, as they add a completely new dimension to sports car driving. The combination of electric power, rocket technology, and hovering capabilities represents a totally new category of vehicle that has never existed before. The future of transportation is here. These groundbreaking technological innovations of the 21st century are going to become part of our reality very soon. We're witnessing the beginning of a shift from the age of electricity to the age of magnetism and advanced propulsion systems. The development of these hovering and flying cars represents years of research, testing, and innovation by some of the smartest engineers and scientists in the world. Each company is taking a slightly different approach, some focusing on magnetic levitation, others on multi-rotor flight systems, and still others on rocket-assisted hovering. This variety of approaches means we'll likely see multiple types of advanced vehicles becoming available to consumers over the next few years. The implications of this technology go far beyond just having cool cars. Imagine emergency vehicles that can fly over traffic to reach accident scenes faster. Think about delivery services that could transport packages through the air, avoiding congested roads entirely. Consider how people living in remote areas could have much better access to cities and services when distance and terrain become less of a barrier. The environmental benefits are also significant. These electric-powered vehicles produce 0 direct emissions, and their efficiency could dramatically reduce energy consumption compared to traditional transportation. When cars can glide over surfaces without friction or fly in straight lines through the air, they can use much less energy to travel the same distances. Of course, there are still challenges to overcome. Safety regulations need to be developed for flying cars. Air traffic control systems will need to be expanded to handle thousands of personal flying vehicles. Battery technology continues to improve, but still needs advancement for longer flight ranges. Infrastructure changes will be needed, including charging stations and designated flight paths. The cost of these vehicles is initially high, but as with all new technology, prices typically come down as production scales up and the technology becomes more refined. The first computers cost millions of dollars and filled entire rooms, but now we carry more computing power in our pockets. The same progression is likely to happen with advanced transportation technology. Training and licensing requirements are being developed to ensure people can safely operate these new types of vehicles. While companies claim the learning curve is short, there will still need to be proper education and certification processes to maintain safety standards. The integration of artificial intelligence and autonomous systems in these vehicles also opens up possibilities for fully automated transportation networks. Imagine calling a flying car that picks you up and delivers you to your destination without any human pilot needed. We're truly living through a transportation revolution that will change how we think about distance, travel time, and mobility. The science fiction dreams of previous generations are becoming engineering realities today.